Let's talk about Kirk Cousins and the Atlanta Falcons, one of the most underrated teams in the NFC. When you hear about the NFC, you'll hear teams like the San Francisco 49ers, Philadelphia Eagles, Minnesota Vikings, but not too many people really talk about the Atlanta Falcons. And the Atlanta Falcons, in my opinion, are one of the better teams in the NFC as a whole. You could say that they have a weak schedule, and I would disagree with that because they went against the Philadelphia Eagles and they won that game. It was a great game-winning drive by Kirk Cousins late in the game. And they played the Kansas City Chiefs as well, and they played them very close. If it was not for a missed pass interference penalty on the referees, they possibly go out there and win that game as well. When I look at the Atlanta Falcons, they have the key pieces to go out there and make a deep playoff push. But I am concerned about one spot on this team. But I'll talk about that later in the video. When I look at the Atlanta Falcons right now, they already have so many division wins. They went out there against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They beat them twice. They already went against the New Orleans Saints once this season. They defeated them, and they defeated the Carolina Panthers as well. They have 4 division wins already. And as I record this video, they will face the New Orleans Saints this weekend. They could possibly have 5 division wins. That is crazy to think about. But at the same time, it's not that much of a shock because they have Kirk Cousins, who is a very good quarterback, and he's been a very good quarterback for the last few years, even dating back to the then Washington Redskins. Kirk Cousins will go out there and put the football where it needs to be, and he's one of the better pocket passing quarterbacks in the NFL. That is the one position that the Atlanta Falcons has been missing over the last few years since they traded Matt Ryan to the Indianapolis Colts. And even in Matt Ryan's last year with the Falcons, he was not the same quarterback. They have spent first-round picks on guys like Bijan Robinson, Drake London, and Kyle Pitts, and we're starting to see all those playmakers elevate. Kirk Cousins is doing a terrific job, but let's also give these players a lot of credit as well. And these players, they're being held back by Arthur Smith. Most games, they will only get 2 to 3 targets. That was it. We're seeing Coach Robinson in his first year as an offensive play caller. He's far from perfect, but he's getting these guys to football when they need it the most. And bringing in Darnell Mooney has been one of the best offseason moves so far. He's been a very good wide receiver. At certain points of times this season, he has been their number 1 wide receiver. Now, Drake London is the true number 1, but Darnell Mooney is a complete wide receiver. He's going to be that deep threat for you, can kill you underneath, is smooth in and out of his breaks, while Drake London is an amazing 50-50 ball wide receiver and is a great red zone target as well. Drake London has always been a good wide receiver. He put up good numbers with Desmond Ridder and Marcus Mariota being his quarterback. I expect for him to have over 1,000 yards receiving this season if he can stay fully healthy. Kyle Pitts has been put into a tough situation as well. That rookie season, he had over 1,000 yards receiving. Since then, he hasn't been able to do much. And I do understand when his season was cut short because he was dealing with a knee injury. But at the same time, terrible quarterback play, and Arthur Smith did not know how to use him. We see Kyle Pitts now. He's become more of a deep threat at times. They're getting him the football in the goal line situations. And we're also seeing other wide receivers step up as well, besides Drake London and Darnell Mooney. And to go more into depth about Darnell Mooney, you look at his numbers this season. He's a top 10 wide receiver. He's 9th in receiving yards, 588 receiving yards in the season, 5 receiving touchdowns. That's tied for the 7th most receiving touchdowns in the NFL, and he's averaging 14 yards a catch. Drake London, 552 receiving yards on the season, 6 receiving touchdowns. That's tied for the 2nd most in the NFL in receiving yards. He's averaging 11 yards a catch as well. Kyle Pitts has finally elevated up to that level. You also have Cordell Hodge as well, who is a very good depth piece. Look at what he did many weeks ago against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Drake London had to leave the game at that point in time. Kirk Cousins gets him the football in overtime, goes out there for a huge game-winning touchdown. They have depth pieces underneath their top wide receivers as well. That is what makes this team so annoying for opposing defenses. They also have Ray McCloud, who is a very good playmaker, and I would like to see him get the football more, especially into certain packages on jet sweeps and motions. So if one of those guys do go down, you plug in one of those depth pieces off the bench, you're not missing a beat. They are a mismatched team. They are the definition of an offense that can go out there and beat you in every single way. It just depends on the offensive line protection with Kirk Cousins. That's it. Because Kirk Cousins does not have the same mobility that he once had. And he was never one of the fastest quarterbacks in the NFL. He never had speed like Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson or even Joe Burrow or Patrick Mahomes. And that's okay. But he's a very accurate quarterback. And at certain points of times, he can put the offense on his back. We saw him do this against the Philadelphia Eagles. We've seen him do this many a times this season. when teams try to stack the box and stop the run game. And yes, they've had some ugly losses here and there. In week 1, they had a very ugly loss against the Steelers, but that's week 1. Both of those teams are 2 different teams right now. And when you look at Bijan Robinson, they're running the football with him more this season than they did last season. Not to take away shine from Tyler Algier, because Tyler Algier is still a very good running back. Let's not forget the man had over 1,000 rushing yards a couple of years ago, right before they drafted Bijan Robinson the year before. So when I look at the backfield that they have, you have Bijan Robinson, who is the more complete running back, can catch the football at the backfield, can kill you in between the tackles, and is just a toss machine in terms of just doing a bunch of halfback tosses to the left or to the right because he has the explosiveness. While Tyler Algier is the mean running back. In goal line situation, when it's a 3rd and 1 or a 3rd and 2, you get him the football, he's going to keep the pile moving. It's a pick your poison type of offense with this team. It just comes down to the offensive protection, and also can Coach Robinson go out there and really become an elite offensive coordinator in the NFL. So far this season, he's done a very good job every single week. He looks better. He's still not perfect, but at the same time, it's better than what they have had over the last few years with Marcus Mariota, Desmond Ridder, and Arthur Smith. I can tell you that much. The one spot that I am worried about with the Atlanta Falcons would be their defense. Their defense has not been the same like how it was last season and the season before. Pass defense wise, I think they're okay. They're going to be okay there because you have A.J. Terrell, Jesse Bates, Justin Simmons. Rushing defense-wise, they have been better over the last 3 to 4 weeks. It was a certain point at the beginning of the season where they could not stop the run at all. Give Coach Morris a lot of credit for going out there and fixing certain adjustments and bringing in brand new formations, but this defense has to be better. Because in the NFL playoffs, you're not going to go against weaker level competition like Derek Carr and the New Orleans Saints. Sorry, Saints fans. And the Carolina Panthers offense with Bryce Young. Sorry, Carolina Panther fans. You're going to be going against elite level competition if you want to go out there and actually make a deep playoff run. And I'm talking about competition like the Minnesota Vikings, possibly the San Francisco 49ers, Los Angeles Rams. You have to get that pass rush there. Now, we saw what they did against the Dallas Cowboys. They had 3 sacks. That's what you want to see. Matthew Judon has been a bit of a disappointment. And I understand that he's getting double-teamed a lot, but he was getting double-teamed a lot with the New England Patriots. The man only has 1.5 sacks this season. And I understand he's putting a lot of pressure on the quarterback. He's making sure the guys stay behind the line of scrimmage. But at the same time, can you please just go back there, bring back the quarterback down? Bring the quarterback down just a couple more times in the game. That's it. They are still in the bottom of the league in terms of putting pressure on the opposing quarterback without blitzing. If you can't go out there and put pressure on elite level competition in the NFC, you're going to be in a world of trouble. The offense can go out there and put up the points, but they have to go out there and put pressure on the quarterback. And they have solid defensive alignment. I like Grady Jarrett a lot. I think that Grady Jarrett is a very good player. He's not the same player that he once was before he tore that ACL. Only 2.5 sacks on the season, but he's a very good run stopper. That's the thing with Grady Jarrett. I remember 2 to 3 years ago, he led the team in sacks. But when I look at Grady Jarrett now, he's not going to be a consistent guy that can go back there and push the pocket. So Matthew Judon has to continue to step up, and also other defensive linemen as well. I look at a guy like Arnold. He had a sack last week against the Dallas Cowboys. Can he continue to get better? Can he bring that pressure on? I look at Zach Harrison as well. Give these guys more reps. Give them more snaps in the game to see if they can generate pressure. Because Coach Morris right now is running a lot of twists and a lot of stunts up the middle to try to go out there and generate that pressure. And the problem that I have, when they go out there and they blitz, you do have Jesse Bates over the top, who is one of the best safeties in the NFL, and you can still have Justin Simmons on the field. But at the same time, they don't have just lockdown corners across the board. A.J. Terrell is a very good cornerback, in my opinion. Mike Hughes has been up and down this season, but Mike Hughes isn't going to go out there and be a true number 2 lockdown defender. So there'll be some times where he gives up big plays. So you just can't go out there and just run zero blitz when you need to bring pressure on the most. Their blitz formations are very interesting to look at with Coach Morris because he had a very good defensive scheme with the Los Angeles Rams. The problem is that same personnel is not here with the Atlanta Falcons. And it's not to say that the Falcons have bad defenders, because they don't. They have good defensive players. They just don't have a good pass rush. And I look at a guy like Troy Anderson. I like him a lot at the linebacker position. I also like Caden Ellis a lot as well. Caden Ellis has become one of the most slept on linebackers in the NFL, especially when it comes to reading and reacting against certain screenplays. He has been very solid this season. And I'm not saying that he's a top linebacker in the NFL. He just doesn't get the credit that he deserves in certain situations. I like what the Atlanta Falcons have. I've been high on this team since they went out there and they brought in Kirk Cousins. Hell, I've been high on this team since they started spending draft picks on the talent positions in terms of getting Kyle Pitts and bringing in Drake London and Bijan Robinson. They got those skill position players locked down. They're starting to elevate. I like to see that defense take the next step because their defense last season was very good underneath Coach Nelson. I expect for Raheem Morris to go out there and figure out this defense for the rest of this season, because right now we're at the halfway point in the season. But if you were to ask me today, do I think the Atlanta Falcons will go out there and make the NFL playoffs? I do. And I do believe that they will have a home playoff game. That's all that you can ask for from your favorite team, because anything can happen in the NFL playoffs, especially playing in Atlanta. Besides week 1, and the Steelers fans came out there, they had the terrible towels. They were taking over Atlanta. It seems like the Steelers fan base does it everywhere, just like the New York Jets fans when they're really red hot. The thing is this with the Falcons, that is one of the hardest places to play in, especially when the Falcons are a good team. Hell, the fan base was showing up last season and they had Arthur Smith as the head coach. And you had Desmond Ridder as the starting quarterback. So imagine what they're going to look like for the rest of this season. They're going to pack that place in. And no place is better to play in for a playoff team than having home field advantage. But let me know in the comment section below, how do you guys feel about Kirk Cousins and the Atlanta Falcons? And even beyond this season and after next season as well. You have Michael Penix Jr. So they have basically put themselves in a win now and win later situation. This is what happens when you have had bad quarterback play year after year. Arthur Blank was sick of it. The man went out there. He saw Marcus Mariota. He wasn't any good. Then they went on Desmond Ridder. He wasn't able to develop into anything. Arthur Blank basically went out there with the general manager and said, man, you know what? We're going to pay Kirk Cousins a lot of money. This may piss him off. We're going to draft a quarterback as well. He gets to develop behind Kirk Cousins, and it has been proven in the NFL. When you let a young quarterback sit down for a season or two, they'll be better off because of it. And you don't hear much about Michael Penix Jr. because Kirk Cousins has played so well off that Achilles injury. But if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for watching the video, guys. God bless. Peace.